Wow, I really like books. We're concluding Ecclesiastes this week. Let's get into God's Word. I started with the thing about the books on purpose. I mean, this is a lot of books, right? Solomon, author of Ecclesiastes, he liked books too. He liked to write things down. He wrote down tons and tons of proverbs. He really enjoyed the idea of wisdom, loved to compare wisdom and folly or being wise versus being foolish. And here in Ecclesiastes, we've had 11 full chapters of all kinds of stuff that we've already talked about. And here we're coming up to the conclusion, which I guess technically is 2 verses. We're going to end with the last 3 verses. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 12, 13, and 14. But my child, in Hebrew that is my son, but my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful, for writing books is endless, and much study wears you out. That's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey His commands, for this is everyone's duty. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. I don't need to rehash the fact that Solomon wrecked his life or reread the section in Kings where it's talking about after Solomon dies, how the kingdom's going to be basically stripped away and things are going to fall into disarray. I think Solomon already knows that. Here's an interesting truth. Knowledge is what we know, but wisdom really is what we do. So could it really be this simple? That life with God is basic. Fear God and do what He says to do. If that's true, then everything you do rises and falls on your belief in God and your fear of God. We've mentioned that Solomon wrote a lot of proverbs and collected many proverbs. In Proverbs 1:7, it says this, it says, "Fear of the Lord is the foundation of true knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline." You can have wise counsel, you can have all the resources in the world, you can have relational support, and you can have a belief that God sees everything and knows everything, but unless you have an appropriate fear of God, you are never going to be poised for success. Your life and my life are driven by fear. That's a fact that's very difficult to avoid or rationalize. But are we fearing man? Are we fearing external circumstances? Or are we fearing God? When I say fear God, let me reiterate, I mean a healthy reverence and awe of God. If we're fearing God, we are putting God above anything else and everything else in our lives. It's more than an acknowledgement that God is there, even though He is completely there, and He's there as a comforter. He's there as somebody that cares for us, but He's also there as somebody that's going to look at what we did and judge us for it. He does that. A healthy fear of God is going to lead us to questions like, what does the Bible say about this? Who can I find to give me counsel in my life that would be coming from a healthy perspective or a biblical perspective? In Proverbs 29:25, it says this. It says, "Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety." Simplest way to think about it is, if we have a fear of people, here's the questions we're asking. What do people think of me? Who can I find to agree with me, my perspective, my point of view, so I can walk through life compromised? Sometimes we're asking worse questions like, how can I hide what I'm doing from godly people? How can I live in secret sin? Essentially, this type of idea is, it's like peer pressure. It's if you're an adult, it's people pleasing. It's where we get codependency and codependency issues and all of the problems that flow from that, from looking at anything else for our source, anything else for our source of joy, anything else for our source of direction. If we're looking to the state, if we're looking to nationalism, that's not it. If we're looking to other people, that's not it. We have to be looking at God, Yahweh, the Creator. And if we are, things begin to make sense for us in our life. So let me read his conclusion again. This is verse 13. That's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. It's our duty. It's our duty. It's what we do. And as people that are raising people, I'm talking here about parenting because starting next week we'll be getting into some parenting studies. Our job is to talk about God at home. We're starting our parenting study next week. We're going to launch in Deuteronomy chapter 6. This is open to all ages. There are parents that have adult children and grandchildren that they're sometimes raising. There are parents that they just now have toddlers and babies at home, so they haven't experienced elementary school or the teenage years yet. We'll be praying for them especially. But all jokes aside, we are really looking forward to answering your questions and looking at parenting from a godly perspective. So ending with this in Ecclesiastes is the absolute perfect segue to what we need to be talking about and doing at home. As always, thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and we'll see you next week for Parenting Week 1.